Hello and welcome to Baking with Katie, where I come into your kitchen via my kitchen and show you how to make delicious recipes. I've been on a Jewish bubby kick lately. We've made challah, we made babka, we've made lots of really fun things that kind of have a little Jewish flair. Today I'm making rugelach, and the thing that's interesting about this recipe is the very best rugelach I have ever had came from my friend Sue. Sue is not Jewish. She got the recipe and the inspiration from her mother-in-law, Judy. Judy unfortunately passed away recently, so when I'm making these today, I'm gonna keep Judy in my heart. I hope that you keep her in your heart as well. Sue was generous enough to share the recipe with me, and we are going to make rugelach, or as my mother-in-law would call them, schnecken. Rugelach is a dough that gets rolled and filled, so the first thing we're gonna do is make the dough. I have 8 ounces of cream cheese and half a pound of butter. Never said these were diet. This is gonna be something that after you eat them, you can go ahead and stream one of our online workout videos. There's plenty on the JCC's YouTube page. So go pick a video and work this off. I'm using the paddle attachment. You'll notice paddle attachment, not a whisk. This is the butter and sugar. This is butter and cream cheese. We are going to cream it until it is light. I have creamed the butter and cream cheese together so you can see it's nice and light. These ingredients have been sitting on my counter for a little bit so that they could be nice and soft so that they will incorporate together. To this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm just gonna dump it in. A teaspoon of vanilla. Usually you don't measure over the bowl, but I always measure vanilla over the bowl because a little extra isn't gonna bother anybody. And a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. You could also use table salt. It's really not that important. Mix it all together. To our butter and cream cheese mixture that now has the sugar, vanilla, and salt in it, I'm adding 2 cups of flour. Then I'm going to mix it all together until it combines. I don't have the mixer on too strong because I don't want to make a flour bomb in my kitchen. I'm just gonna mix it until it starts to hold together like a dough. It happened that fast. As you can see, it only takes a moment to bring it together. I'm going to mix it all together and get it into a giant ball now and dump it out on my counter. I have taken the dough out of the bowl and I literally just dropped it onto my floured counter and I'm getting it into a ball. I'm going to cut the ball into quarters and then this dough is going to chill. When I cut dough, I like to use a serrated knife. I'm just gonna cut this into 4 quarters, set 3 aside, wrap 1 in plastic. This is always the hardest part. Okay, can never do this well. I don't know why the plastic has to be so sticky to itself. Okay, then I'm gonna smush it down a little bit, cover it up, make all 4 of these. They're gonna go in the fridge for about an hour. In the meantime, I'm going to work on the filling. Going to assemble the filling now. And one thing that I want to say when we're starting to do the filling is that I come from a nuts and raisins background. However, I married into a no nuts and raisins family. So I am going to make the fillings, but I am not going to use all of it because I will make some that we can give to my lovely brother-in-law and sister-in-law as a thank you for going to Costco to us. I will give some to my in-laws just because we love them and miss them, to various other family members, and they will get the no nuts, no raisins. Then we will keep a few here that have nuts and raisins because nuts and raisins and rugelach is part of the magic. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make the filling, which is essentially apricot preserves in the food processor. I'm gonna do this first, So the next thing that I need to do is use the food processor to make nuts. And if I did the nuts first, then the nuts would get in the preserves and all hell would break. So I'm gonna take 1/3 cup of apricot preserves. I'm also gonna make some with Nutella. If you didn't want to use Nutella and you just wanted to use fruit spread, use 1/2 cup of preserves. And it is important to put it in the food processor so that it gets liquidy smooth. Here we go. All right. I'm gonna give it another second. I still see some gloopy bits. Here we go, 1 more second. Okay, I have my nice little vessel right here to put this in. So I'm gonna smush all that in. You can see now that the texture of it is lighter and it's going to spread much, much better than how it was before. And I didn't add anything to it. It's literally just pureed. Now I am going to add the nuts. So these are walnuts. And I'm not gonna do, it says a whole cup, but I'm not gonna do the whole cup. I'm just gonna do 1/2 the cup. And they are going to get chopped into bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so there we go. You want them still to have like a taste and to be able to tell that they're in there. If you're into nuts, if you're not into nuts, if there's an allergy or whatever, just leave them out. You do not need these in here at all. You do not. I think it gives them a nice little taste. You don't have to. You could also use a different nut. If walnuts aren't your thing, you could do this just as easily with pecans or almonds or whatever, and it would still taste delicious. So these are going to go into my other little side bowl. All right, and some of them got stuck in there because I did the preserves first, but what are you gonna do? Now I am going to assemble the rest of the ingredients. It's kind of hard, I know, to keep track of who gets what. If you wanted to mix all of these things together, you could. The nuts, what I'm about to do, and the raisins, what I'll do next. So the filling itself is 6 tablespoons of sugar. This is a 2 tablespoons, so that's 2, 4, 6. I also am going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. There we go. And a 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. Sure, if you have dark brown sugar, use the dark brown sugar. It really doesn't matter all that much. So I'm gonna add this in. Pack, 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 pack. A little more. There we go. This goes in here. I'm gonna mix these things together. If you wanted the nuts in your whole mixture, you would add them right into this. I'm going to add them separately when I am assembling so that I can have some with nuts and some without nuts. The last thing I need to assemble before it's time to start rolling out the dough are the raisins. Now, I am using 3 different dried fruits for the raisins. I am using regular raisins, but that's all I have left. So that's not 3/4 of a cup. So I'm gonna use a little bit of golden raisins, which I use when I make challah, if I have them on hand. I like golden raisins in challah. The last thing I'm gonna do is chop up a couple dried apricots because we are making apricot rugelach. So I think that'll add a nice fun flavor to it also. If you want these all together in every single one of your rugelach, you would add this right to your cinnamon and sugar mixture. But Like I said, some of the people that I love dearly do not love dried fruit, and so I'm gonna put them in, just in a couple of them. I got busy last night and ended up letting the dough rest in the fridge overnight. I took it out about an hour ago so that it wouldn't be quite as cold as it was after a 12-hour chill in the fridge. And now, as Ludacris would say, we're going to roll out. Roll out. I have my dough. It is nice and chilly. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top of the dough in addition to a nicely floured surface underneath the dough. And different from rolling out other things, I'm gonna go slowly. I'm putting a little bit of pressure, but I am not pushing the dough too hard or too fast. And because it seems to be sticking a little bit to the rolling pin, I'm gonna reflour, sort of pick the dough up, make sure that the underside of my board is nice and floured. We are looking for a 9-inch round. The dough is still gonna be a little thick when you get to 9 inches. It may still look small. I have my, you're just gonna have my handy dandy ruler. There we go, that's 9 inches. And this is 9 inches, so we are there. So it's gonna feel thick, it may look a little small, that's okay. Now we're going to take our apricot spread, or Nutella, or raspberry preserves, or whatever you want to use. We're gonna put it out. You're looking to make a very, very thin layer. It's gonna seem like it's not enough, but you just really wanna cover it all with just a very, very thin little bit. As you can see, I spread the apricot preserves really all the way to the end. This batch is going to be a nuts and raisins batch. You can see that overnight I had a stroke of inspiration and I added some mini chocolate chips to the mixture that I'm doing right now. I'm just sprinkling the cinnamon and sugar and nuts and raisins and dried apricots and chocolate chips. I'm going to press those down a little bit. The easiest way to cut these into our wedges is with a pizza cutter. I try to avoid the spots where the nuts, where the big pieces of things are, because I find that the pizza cutter doesn't quite know what to do with giant raisins, and it just makes it a little harder. So I make a little path for it. So now I've cut into quarters. Now I'm going to cut each quarter into 3. As you can see, the pizza cutter sometimes holds on to the edges, so I just gently put them down. I'm starting in the middle and working my way out, because when I started from the outside and worked my way in, I ended up with these really funky shapes that were not at all the shapes that I wanted them to be. So this is how we're going about it. I'm just gonna cut the rest of these and then I'll show you how to roll. Now we will roll. Start with the outside, the crust side, if you will, if you are sticking with the pizza analogy. You want the point side down. They're going to go onto our parchment-lined baking sheet. So you're just gonna start at the end, roll them up. It's okay if they don't look perfect. And you also don't need to space them very far apart on the tray. They're not gonna rise. There's really nothing in them that's gonna rise. So the shape that you see now is the shape that you are going to get after they are baked. As I'm rolling, I'm kind of trying to keep all of the filling ingredients inside, just so that they don't roll out. I'm gonna take this raisin and rehome it to the middle. Not much filling is spilling out. This is really pretty dry. We're gonna get a moist and delicious end result, but this process is not as messy as, say, a cinnamon bun rolling out would be. I'm gonna keep doing this, and then I will show you the next step. The rugelach have all been rolled. They are spending half an hour resting in the fridge. My fridge didn't fit both trays of rugelach, so the first one went in the fridge and the second one went in the freezer, and hopefully it will all work out. While we're waiting for that, we are going to make our egg wash. So I have 1 whole egg. To that, I am adding 1 tablespoon of milk. I am going to beat this together with a fork. The rugelach have chilled, and now the last step before they can be baked is giving them the egg wash and a little cinnamon sugar topping. So the cinnamon sugar topping is 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. The first thing we need to do is brush each one with egg wash. This is going to make them get that beautiful brown color. I'm using a pastry brush. If you don't have your pastry brush, you could use your fingers. You just want to make sure that each one gets a little egg wash. This is also going to help the cinnamon sugar mixture stick to the dough. The last step before they go into the oven, they've been egg washed, is now we're going to do a little sprinkle of cinnamon and sugar. And I just take a handful and go down the line. You just want to give them each a little bit. This gives it a little crunch on the top as well as a little extra pop of cinnamon deliciousness. If you were using a filling like Nutella, which I might do in a different batch, I would skip the cinnamon and sugar because I would skip the cinnamon, I would still do sugar, but I don't love the taste of cinnamon and chocolate together. But if you like it, then you could do it. I'm just, going through little by little, boom, boom, boom. These are going to go into a 350-degree oven for somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. It is about 20 minutes later, and the rugelach have come out of the oven. We can see that they're nicely browned, and Michael's cue for doneness is the ooze, that little bit of deliciously sticky and crunchy jam that has oozed out of the rugelach. So we're gonna let these cool and then devour pretty much all of them. I hope that you are able to try this recipe and that you like it. Don't forget to like and comment if you like the video. And I look forward to seeing you guys again at the J soon. Have a great day.